I need your advice on GE Profile Arctica refrigerator problems.
The Arctica side-by-side fridge often has problems with temperature control and icing.
Get too cold, and it will turn the fridge into a second freezer.
The GE Arctica fridge often has problems reading and indicating a temperature too high. Lower the thermostat, and the gauge still reads high.
You could have a thermostat reading high because there is a problem, a refrigerant leak. You can turn down the thermostat, but it can't maintain that while running out of Freon.
They don't use Freon anymore due to the ozone layer hole blamed on them, but the high-pressure substitutes are more prone to leaking.
That's true of any modern fridge.
The Arctica fridge has problems reading high even when a separate thermometer in the fridge says it is colder than it should be. In short, it thinks the unit is 60 but is actually 30, because it keeps trying to cool down to the 45 it is set at.
That would cause the icing problem. How do you fix it?
First, turn it off and defrost it before the ice in the fridge damages components. Second, Arctica fridges have two evaporators, and either one could be the problem.
It was sold as a dual evaporator fridge.
It has one cooling coil in the freezer and another in the fresh food section. Both have defrost cycles, but the coil in the fresh food section only uses forced air to defrost while the freezer has a defrosting heater.
It sounds so weird to say the heater in the freezer.
If the main control board thinks the fresh food section is cold enough, it turns off refrigerant flow to the second evaporator. So the fresh food stops cooling but the freezer evaporator keeps going.
As it should.
The main board also won't turn on the refrigerant flow to the fresh food section until it thinks things are defrosted.
So if the control board thinks it is too cold, it won't keep the fridge cold, and if it thinks the fridge evaporator is too hot but can't shunt the refrigerant, it won't cool down.
This problem might be fixed by power cycling the fridge to try to reset the control board, if it isn't reading the sensor right or reactivating the second evaporator as it should.
At least that's free to do, versus paying to replace sensors.
You may need to replace the thermostat so that it reads the temperature in the fresh food section.
Or the compressor and condenser, if the unit can't keep cold.
If the unit keeps trying to engage the compressor but it sometimes clicks instead of turning on. The start relay or starting capacitor needs to be replaced instead of the whole unit.
That's still cheaper than a new motherboard.